All right, this just in from the Pentagon. Marine reinforcements are headed to Libya right now. Let's bring in Barbara Starr, one of the first people to report this live at the Pentagon. Give us some of the details here, Barbara.
Well, we are just learning that these Marines headed to Libya are most likely now to go to the U.S. Embassy in Tripoli. That is where they are headed. They are going to come out of Rota, Spain, out of southern Spain. This is a specially configured Marine Corps anti-terrorism security team. The Marines maintain these teams around the world just for these circumstances, to go in for embassy reinforcement and protection when this type of violence breaks out. John and Brooke, we are told that there were no Marines at Benghazi. That is not a place where Marine Corps security is provided. Security, of course, happens three ways: U.S. Marines, contractors, or State Department diplomatic security personnel. But the Marines were not at Benghazi. Now on their way to Tripoli to reinforce the embassy there. And John, as you said, the big question now that everyone is asking: was there enough security? Is there enough security? Are U.S. installations around the world getting the kind of security protection that they need? John, Brooke?
Barbara, here's my follow-up to that, because I know in a lot of these instances, you know, the real security comes from the local folks, the local government security officers. And by the fact that we are sending in Marines, does that then infer, and it's just a question, that we don't trust their security forces?
Well, look, you're absolutely right. The U.S. negotiates security agreements when it puts an embassy or installation in around the world. The host country, the country where we are, is the one that's responsible for security outside the fence line. U.S. Marines don't operate, you know, on the streets of Benghazi or Tripoli. It is the responsibility of the Libyans, the Egyptians, any country, to maintain enough security so that these mob violence situations don't break out to the point that they threaten the U.S. Embassy. This dates all the way back to the days in Iran. But if this kind of violence breaks out, where were the Libyan security forces? What were they doing? Were they on the scene? The U.S. maintains security, but nobody's putting an armored division at every embassy around the world. I mean, this does happen, but there will be plenty of questions asked. Did they know that there was a threat out there? What was the intelligence? Could it have been prevented? A terrible, terrible tragedy. There's going to be a lot of second guessing about all of it, but it looks like the President and Secretary Clinton are now calling for more security at diplomatic installations around the world.
Barbara Starr, thank you for us from the Pentagon.
We've been reporting all morning that Christopher Stevens was a beloved figure in the diplomatic community and played a key role in the developments in Libya over the last 18 months. He was a representative there from the U.S. to the rebel uprising that began in Benghazi, and he'd been spending a lot of time there as ambassador, of course, recently. The New York Times is reporting this morning that a couple months ago, in a catch-up email to family and friends, he was describing his first 6 weeks back in Libya, and he described it as this: "The whole atmosphere has changed for the better," he wrote. "People smile more and are much more open with foreigners. Americans, French, and British are enjoying unusual popularity. Let's hope that lasts." He acknowledged the situation, the security situation there was still uncertain, but he said, "We move around town in armored SUVs with security teams that are watching out for us." Of course, that not enough last night when apparently it was a rocket attack that killed him and 3 other Americans in Benghazi after the protests outside the consulate there.
More breaking news after this quick break.